Hello and welcome to the Hockey Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ryan Gilbert. Joining me tonight is my co-host, Joel Meyer. Joel, it's been 2 games. Cats up 2-0. How we doing?
Iga Świątek. It's been 5 days since the French Open final on the women's side, and it feels like yesterday. I mean, actually, I slept in. I missed the whole match, which sucked, but I fell asleep with my phone in my hand apparently because I woke up 5% battery and presumably just about to set the alarm. And I knew she was going to win, so it wasn't like the end of the world. I wasn't even sweating when I checked the score, even though I had all the money on it. I was like, she won. She won. Shouldn't even have to check the score, but it sucked because I like to see the trophy celebrations. That's one of the best parts of tennis. Like they really do it up well there. So that was excellent. Unfortunately, Zverev couldn't get the job done against Alcaraz, but we saw that coming. It was all good because we bet a bunch of Alcaraz with Scotty Scheffler and Scotty. Oh my word, he made us sweat for that one. He was not playing good tennis, but thankfully nobody could overcome him. And yeah, even when Scheffler's playing like C- tennis or a golf for him, it doesn't matter because he just wins. He just wins. And we'll get into a bit of golf, I guess, later on. But spoiler alert, we'll be betting Scheffler again.
Yeah, you got to go with Scotty. Scotty's just it's Scotty too hotty. I saw John Ram, but John Ram's going to be out anyway. I saw he was like at the course with like one shoe on and one flip flop on with like a bandage foot. Let's go both flip flops at that point. You don't do the mix and match, but yeah, it's been a good weekend, good few days here. It's a lot to talk about, I think, through these first 2 games of the Stanley Cup Final. Before we get into that, make sure you are subscribed to the Hockey Gambling Podcast on your preferred podcast platform. Also subscribe on YouTube at Hockey Gambling Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at HockeySGPN. Get in the Discord, sg.pn/Discord. You brought up you like the trophy presentation in tennis, you said. There was some discussion about it. What were your thoughts on them bringing the Stanley Cup out before game 1?
I don't really care. No, I don't. But we can go back to the Eastern Conference Final when we never talked about this. Where
we didn't.
Where Paul Maurice was adamant that they do not touch the trophy. Apparently, he did it last year. He told them not to last year, and they did it anyway. Oh. This year, Barkov was like, "No, we're not doing it." And then they stood like 5 feet away from it.
Like, nope.
Not even close. So yeah, they listened to the gaffer there in this time, and hopefully it's turning out much better for them this year so far. So hopefully it continues that way. But yeah, as for the Stanley Cup being shown, it means nothing to me.
Yeah, apparently they've been having this. I heard Friedman and Merrick talk about it on Thirdly Thoughts. Like it's been in the works for a while. They wanted to do have this big big speech about, oh, this is what you're playing for and the legacy and whatnot. But they nixed that, thankfully, because yeah, they fucking know. And like you could see the players all move away from the cup when it was on the ice. It's cool to see, put it out there, but I do kind of like seeing it only when it could be won. I feel like there's still something special about that coming out. But getting it there for game 1, I guess is kind of cool. But yeah, like you said, I don't really care much about it. I didn't think you would have too hot of a take either.
Going back to tennis, back and forth here, like a rally. In the men's final, actually, I think Sasha Zverev was complaining about the light bouncing off the trophy because they had the trophy for the French Open in full display. So the light was glinting off that and maybe affecting his vision. So he complained to the ref about that. But the tennis players complained to their umps about fucking everything. So that's nothing strange there.
Okay. What's the trophy where it's just like a metal plate and it's just like a mirror almost? So like I looked up the French Open real quick. It looks shiny. Is that Wimbledon?
I don't know about the tennis ones, but the Bundesliga one is just like this, big plate. So there's this massive circle thing.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking about. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's not about the shape or size of the trophy, but to be honest, the Stanley Cup is the best one. It's just big old cup. You can drink out of it, and it's massive. It is the best trophy.
Yeah, it is Wimbledon. I'm thinking about it. The Wimbledon it's like a plate, but whatever. Back to hockey here. Yeah, I mean, Cats up 2-0 going back to game one. Oilers were, the better team. Outshot the Panthers quite heavily there. 32-18. Panthers scored early, never looked back. Of course, Evan Rodriguez scoring the second goal. Luosterainen getting the empty netter with 5 seconds left. Good for him there. But I mean, they had those few early breakaways. I think Henrique had one. Janmark maybe had one, and they did the same move on Bob, and Bob was just locked in. You could tell from the get-go that Bob was locked in. He was ready for the Stanley Cup final this time around, and he's shown it now through 2 games.
No doubt. This is not the game that I was expecting. Certainly, the Panthers lost that one 5-on-5, no doubt. I think the Oilers had triple the high danger chances that the Panthers did. But yeah, Bobrovsky stood tall for us, which is great. First 2 periods, all Oilers, but thankfully the Panthers are the best third period team in the league, especially in these playoffs. And yeah, they got the job done when it mattered, and that's just how they get it done. Like that's winning teams do, winning players do. It translates across all sports, and yeah, Bobrovsky was excellent. Needed some good goaltending there, and Skinner wasn't terrible, but he just let in a couple goals that Bobrovsky didn't, and that's all it takes sometimes in this dumb sport of ours. But yeah, another we could say that it's not the game we expected because there was a fucking week layover between games, so it's hard to get juiced up back to that playoff style hockey. It took a couple periods for the Panthers to get jive back in. So yeah, the first 2 periods were more like the regular season Oilers. The regular season Oilers are arguably the best team, but in the playoffs it's a different animal. And yeah, the last 4 periods turned the ship around, no doubt.
Yeah, high danger chances, like you said, 18-6 for Edmonton overall, 13-6 at 5-on-5. But I don't know if this is just because I was thinking about it today, thinking back what we should talk about with the games. Like, I don't feel like it really ever felt Edmonton was threatening. I know it was a 2-goal game for all but, for 40 minutes of the game, pretty much. Ed Rodriguez scored 2 minutes into the second period, but like it never felt like Edmonton was, they were gonna get one, or maybe if they got a power play they could get one, but it never felt like, okay, something's coming now, because the Panthers just, I don't know if they kept them to the outside enough, but it was kind of due to the game script that the Oilers got so many more shots on goal, and then the Panthers just limited them. And in the third period, I think the third period Panthers may have had more shot. I think it was 7-6 or something like that. So, I mean, Panthers have been dominant in the third period. I looked today at it because I know they're one of the best third period teams in the playoffs. They've outscored teams 28-11. The Oilers are one of the worst third periods teams. They've been outscored 23-12. They have a negative 11 goal differential in the third period. They have fewer third period goals, I think, than I saw. I think Carolina, Colorado both had more third period goals than Oilers do here through almost 2 more series. So that just shows Edmonton's complete lack of depth, and like that's something they failed to address. I know Kane's battling a hernia and whatever else, but like you want to see more from Edmonton, like from Henrique. They should have got someone else at the deadline that they can, like a Tarasenko type or Duclair, or like a winger that you can put in your top 6. So you don't have to rely on Fogle or Holloway or whoever's up there with Draisaitl on the second line. But and that was really evident, I feel like, in game 2, late in the game, when they pulled the goalie and they had like Bouchard on the ice for 4 straight minutes with that same top 5, top 6 man unit, when they took a timeout rather than throwing someone else out there. They don't have 3 other guys they can put out there that they think they can score a goal.
2 points on that. First of all, that illustrates my point about the difference between the regular season and the playoffs, is that the Oilers were actually one of the best third period teams in the regular season, and now that's completely flipped in the playoffs. And secondly, I don't think it's the lack of forward depth is the problem. I mean, they have enough forwards. I mean, obviously you want the depth, and there's a huge drop off between the first 2 lines and the bottom 6, but the real problem for the Oilers is the drop off after Bouchard and Ekholm on the defensive end. Like, CC and Nurse pairing has not worked. Nurse he's been on the ice for half of the goals against, even though Ekholm and Bouchard are playing all the tough minutes. Nurse is getting the easier pairings. CC, he was scratched in the last game. Like, that's the real problem. Like, nothing. There's nothing after Ekholm and Bouchard. And Bouchard himself had a bad game too there. He really showed his weaknesses after improving so much defensively in the past year or so. But yeah, I think the real issue is just after Ekholm and Bouchard is there's nothing going on defensively for the Oilers.
Yeah, and so shift the game through. Now, Darnell Nurse missed most of the game, only played 420. I think most of that came in the first period after I think a hit from Kane, if I remember right. But he did practice today, so should be back for game 3. But yeah, game 2
From
was
Kane?
I think, or not. I guess not. Kane. I guess it wouldn't have been from Kane.
He's hitting his own teammates now. It wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe I don't know, but. Yeah, game 2 was kind of more of what we expected. Panthers outshot them 29-19. Oilers score on their first shot. Apparently the only 5-hole goal Bobrovsky's given up in these playoffs, and then the Panthers just
terrible goal.
Yeah, get better as the game moves along. 13-3 shots in the second period. Edmonton outshot them 12-7 in the third, but that was all Panthers. Oilers, got kind of dirty there. What are your thoughts on, so many penalties being called too in this game? Like, way too many penalties being called. Less than, I think it was 37 minutes were played at 5-on-5, 42 at even strength. So you had 18 minutes of power plays plus 5 more minutes of 4-on-4.
A lot of diving. Like that cross check, I can't remember who committed it, but Draisaitl just went over like a pound of bricks. Yeah, I mean, a lot of diving, but the refs just calling everything. It's not good for the game, especially the Stanley Cup Finals. We want to see these games played 5-on-5, of course, not just calling all these little things. And then they only give 2 minutes for Draisaitl's elbow to the head of Barkov, which we'll get into later. But yeah, it's not good, I don't think. I'm not one to complain about the officiating too much, but I do want to see the game played 5-on-5. So to that extent, I will complain about the officiating, and hopefully they call a lot less going forward, especially because it benefits the Panthers. The more we play this series 5-on-5, the better our chances look to just get this job done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you wonder how it's going to be in game 3, because game 2 had a few big hits. Of course, the 5-minute major kneeing against Warren Foegele on Luosterainen there. Luosterainen did come back. I saw Knobloch compared that one to the Sam Bennett tripping on Bouchard, which was kind of also a knee, by the net there, or the first penalty of the game. I think both of those were, the knee on knee stuff is just unnecessary, and like that's something where you can't take hard hits out of the game, but like I feel like that's something where the players should be better with that. And you see people online like go back frame by frame and say Foegele was going for a hit and Luosterainen deked into it kind of, but real time speed, it looked really bad. And it looked like it should be a major. And then of course, the hit on Draisaitl. We'll wait to talk about that. But one thing I did like was the delay, and they couldn't review it. The delay of game call when I think Stenlund had the puck on his stick in the zone, and then it did get past the blue line when he last had when it was last on his stick. So I did like them getting that call correct, of course, for my being a Panthers backer, but also just to see them get it right. But yeah, ticky-tack calls. I mean, the Tkachuk penalty against his hooking call against Connor Brown, I think it was, like a bunch of stuff that probably shouldn't be called, but that's how they're calling it. Maybe they wanted to see the Oilers get back in it, but Panthers are still being the better team. They're just getting better as the series move along.
Yeah, no doubt. And yeah, there were 3 serious injuries in that game with Luosterainen, Ekblad, and of course Barkov. Barkov seems to be the most serious, with Ekblad and Luosterainen returning. But yeah, it's crazy how quickly those guys returned, considering how badly they looked following the hits. But yeah, it's good to see them all back. Evander Kane, not so much. Like he's hurting, and of course you mentioned Nurse. Not that he's a massive loss at this point, although they don't have much better behind him or anything close to being a top 4 D man. But yeah, physical series, which is how we like it. The Panthers, like you love the Oilers in regular season because they can just feast on these power plays, and it's not a physical series. But in the playoffs, that's why we like the Panthers all series or playoffs long, which is why we're sitting pretty where we're at.
Yeah, and I was looking at the game 3 box score today before I get into the Draisaitl hit. The Oilers had 6 shots on goal from forwards in the whole game. McDavid had 3, Draisaitl had 2, and Hyman had 1. So really, just that their big 3 were the only forwards to really do anything. They're the only forwards really playing much at all. And when you have Brett Kulak leading the team in shots with 5, Desharnais had 3 shots, Ekholm 3, Bouchard 2. That's just not going to get it done. And they're showing how top heavy they are, and Panthers are taking advantage.
I heard that they had 0 high danger chances. I didn't look myself, but
yes, I did want to bring that up too. 0 high danger chances. Or they had 1, I guess, at even 1 at 4-on-4, but
right, and their only goal, is 4-on-4,
yeah.
so still scoreless 5-on-5.
Yeah. You saw Paul Maurice complain when it went from 5-on-5 to 4-on-4 late in the third period. I mean, that's what it is. Though, if 2 guys take penalties, it goes 4-on-4. You can't choose.
Right.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? There was this is how the Panthers defend. It's not just in their own zone. They defend in the offensive zone. Their relentless forechecking creates chances offensively, and this is why they're such a great team in the playoffs. Because they just win constant puck battles. It's all about will at that point, and this is a team based around that. And tactically, we can relate this to, in Germany, we call it Gegenpress, which is a strategy where the Germans are happy not to have the ball, let the opponent have the ball, but we take the ball away in key spots and then quickly turn it into attack. And that's basically what the Panthers do. They just forecheck. That's how that turnover by Bouchard was created for the Evan Rodriguez goal, one of them.
That was an awful turnover. That was
that was an egregious one. But the Panthers just do that all the time, and that's why we would have loved to bet the Panthers against the Leafs, because the Leafs are awful at breaking the puck out of their own zone, and that would have been a terrible matchup. But it's working the same way for the Oilers here so far. So
Draisaitl hit, not suspended, no fine. I didn't think there was going to be a suspension. Maybe if it was a 1-1 series and it wouldn't, have the Oilers facing a 2-0 hole without one of their second best player probably. But Stanley Cup final, they're not gonna suspend a star unless it's what Pietrangelo did, a 2-hand slash into someone's head or something . But it was not a good hit. It was an elbow to the head. Barkov was definitely not flopping there, even though there are having some flops in the playoffs. But Draisaitl, low-key dirty player. I was thinking about it he's kind of similar to Evgeny Malkin. Malkin gets away with a lot of stuff. He plays Robin to Crosby's Batman. But Pittsburgh has the Cups. Edmonton does not yet. Draisaitl, he wasn't going to get suspended. Good to see Barkov back on the ice today for practice. So hopefully it doesn't have a lasting impact on the series.
Honestly, that's a good move by Draisaitl, because the Oilers aren't winning the series if Barkov keeps doing what he's doing. And if you can get away with it with just a 2-minute penalty, that's a punishment you take all day long. Taking out the best player in the series, he's been better than McDavid, with just the 2-minute penalty. That's absolutely a good playoff move. Was it that Brad Marchand said back in the day? Nobody else will say this, but the objective is to hurt the other team.
He said that this year. Yeah,
he said this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something to that effect, because he was talking about the Sam Bennett punch down.
Right. Yeah. So that's what it takes in the sport we love. Just destroying the other team physically first, and just withering them away with constant punishment, however you can achieve that end.
Yeah. So all right, before we continue here, we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live for the NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Final. Create entries up to pick 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries, so you can miss 2 picks and still win your entry. Extra ways to win. The excitement is higher than ever. The best part is you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can also now use specials and boosts on all flexed entries, so don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Sign up with promo code HGP to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code HGP. I think that's mostly all I wanted to talk about the two games so far. I was just amazed by the goal differential in the third period. I mean, Edmonton plus 10 in the first, plus 10 in the second, and then minus 11 in the third. It shows how they get worn down, and if McDavid and Draisaitl aren't scoring in the third period, they're not gonna have a good time.
creates a great live betting opportunity too. If the Oilers get the first goal, you just bet the Panthers come back.
Yeah, I think even going into the third period, last in game 2, I think the Panthers were like minus 120 or minus 130, which was insane.
Well, the market for the game itself was insane. The way that the Oilers got bet. I mean, it's kind of like a recency bias, right? Like the Oilers had all that, the XG differential, and then we got the zigzag. Oh, the one team wins one game, and the other team will win the next. So that created this almost a pick 'em. Like it was minus 115 by the time the markets closed there on Monday. And yeah, so we were happy to fade that and then just bet more Panthers. That's just what we do.
Yeah, that's a good segue there into game 3. We'll see if the Oilers can get it going here. Let me share my screen for the odds. Of course, game 3 is on Thursday night, June 13th. Game itself is in Edmonton at 8 o'clock, or puck drop probably closer to 8:30 because that's how things operate around here. So yeah, Oilers minus 135, Panthers plus 115, over unders at 5.5, overpaying off minus 105, under at minus 115. I can't imagine really either of us are going to be betting the money line in this game, given how we're invested in the futures. But what are your thoughts here for game 3?
Oh, don't be so fast, my friend.
I
mean, Panthers as a dog here. I mean, I know we're heavily invested already, but that's kind of crazy based on what we've seen so far. Obviously, the Oilers clearly dominated the first 2 periods, but after that, it's all Panthers, all what we've expected so far. Yeah, you expect the crowd to be going nuts at Rogers Place, and this is a desperate team and all that. And the refs, yeah, you can factor that in too. Maybe the refs will give them a benefit of the whistle with the attempts by the league to extend this series. Obviously, the revenue is better the longer the series goes, but get plus 114 here, and I think that's okay if we know that Barkov is around. If Barkov's out and this line goes higher, even then, I'll bet the Panthers at plus 120, plus 125. Yeah, I just think that they're the better team in the playoffs, and I'm not going to stop now. One thing that concerns you, I read that the Panthers only left today for Edmonton, and there's a bit of a storm going on.
Yeah, their plane was, I think, scheduled to leave at like 1 or 2, and didn't leave till, I think I saw it left around like 5. So they're not going to get in till late tonight. Not late tonight, but like 9 p.m. local time or so.
Yeah, but that's midnight for the Florida time. So that's not ideal for the body clock. I mean, the Oilers, I assume, left Tuesday morning, and they'll be good to go. So that is an advantage for the Oilers, but I just can't back the Oilers at all, even though everything is going for them in terms of the desperation angle, all that shit that I mentioned. But yeah, I'll keep taking the disrespectful line against the best team in these playoffs with the Panthers here. And if they lose, then well, fine, I'll just bet them again. And that's just the way it's going. For the total, I think it's correlated too with the Panthers with the under. Oilers, if they can finally make it a high scoring game, finally get past Bobrovsky, who hasn't been quite as good on the road, still good, but not as elite as he has been at home. Then the Oilers and the over would make sense, but the Panthers and the under would make more sense. I think every game since one of the Lightning games, I guess, has gone. Oh, I guess the first game of the Bruins series, I think. Anyway, a lot of these games, like there's only been one in the past 12 or 13 that's gone over, and that was that weird game at noon on a Sunday with the Panthers and the Rangers in Florida. So they're all going under, and the Panthers are winning most of these games. So Panthers in the under. Oilers, if you think they win, I think they can. Their best chance is just to make it a high-scoring affair. So I think the over would be correlated there, but Panthers and under for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, might be talking me into betting some Panthers here at plus 115, especially if there's some sort of, SGP boost offered on DraftKings or something. Looking at the line movement, like Florida opened around even money here. And maybe now Barkov should be playing. Now they get 15 more cents, get plus 115. I think this is the second time they're underdogs in these playoffs. They did win the first game. I'm trying to find when that was. So game three in Tampa Bay. We're going up 2-0, going to kind of a must-win situation on the road, or for the opposing team, and they got it done there
against the Lightning that game.
There were dogs apparently. Game 3 it closed at plus 104.
Wow,
so
that doesn't make any sense.
plus 115 for the best team in the playoffs here is definitely something that if you're coming into this fresh, you haven't done any series bets, definitely I think take the plus 114. I do quite like the under there with you as well, under 5.5, minus 115. Yeah, it was that crazy 5-4 overtime game on Sunday after playing in Florida Friday night. So that quick
Or New
turnaround for
York.
there. Yep. Yeah. Went from Florida went from New York to Florida. Yes. So travel there, less than 48 hours between games. Besides that, 3-0, 2-1, 3-2s in there. So, yeah, like the under here a lot. They're not giving up much to Edmonton offensively, like we just talked about. They had one high danger chance, and it was at 4-on-4. Only scored at 4-on-4. Not generating anything from their forwards besides McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman. Like, I know, like Stanley Cup Finals are very rarely sweeps, like maybe a 5-game series, but this could end up being a sweep. I just can't. I can't back Edmonton here before I see them win a game. I can't back the over before I see them scoring a few on Bobrovsky. So I like the under 5.5. I saw Bob's goals against was under 2.5 at plus 105. I don't hate that at all. If you like, especially if you like the Panthers and the under, maybe you get a Oilers win 3-1 on empty netter and you still win that something. So that gives you more ways to win. Team total, Edmonton under 2.5 is plus 128. I mean, that's probably pretty good to look at as well. They've only scored, I think, 5 goals in 4 games against the Cats in this year overall, and 3 of them were in their first meeting back in November. So since then, 5-1 for Florida, 3-0, and 4-1. So 12-2 goal differential in their last 3 meetings, including 7-1 in this Stanley Cup final so far. So love the Panthers under here, under 5.5, minus 115. And I think the Panthers are still the team to beat here, as they've shown throughout the entire playoffs.
No doubt. And one last thing, I guess, is the Panthers finally broke the Oilers' penalty kill streak. I think it was at 33, 34. And then Evan Rodriguez, his goal there, finally snapped the streak. Hopefully that continues. And I think it will, because Oilers' penalty kill, if you look at it on paper, I mean, they're not that great. I mean, they've been playing some shitty power plays. And I think that the Panthers can force the issue here, and they have to get some calls from the refs. It can't be 8-0 calls for the Oilers. So, yeah, interesting to follow that, especially with the Skinner at home. In a leverage situation, high leverage situation, all the fans will work against him. I think almost as much as Bobrovsky, probably more, because Bobrovsky has the experience. So yeah, look for Skinner to let in a weak one, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility there. Before we get to the Conn Smythe here, we are brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on NBA player props, you need to download Rhythm. It gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA Finals game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning the algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data without you needing to endlessly scroll a sportsbook. Rhythm also allows you to create your own custom NBA models, so you can get AI-backed money line spread and total picks. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And of course, make sure you check out Game Time. It's now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and their views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Of course, you always find concerts, theater, and all that good stuff near you there at Game Time. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals, flash deals, and select seats ahead of the game or the event. And they do show all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature to show the total up front with no surprise fees at the checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Joel. Anything else on the final so far before we get into Conn Smythe?
No, I think we got it. We are entering the more interesting discussion now.
Yeah, this is definitely, looking at the odds here, I got him on the screen. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, you got Bobrovsky minus 190, Barkov plus 500, McDavid 550, and then it drops down to Kachuk 30-1, Bouchard 35-1.
This always makes me laugh. Sebastian Aho,
Sebastian Aho,
17-1.
17-1 still. Yeah, Draisaitl, Bouchard, both 35-1. Verhaeghe 43-1. Austin Matthews 45-1. Evan Rodriguez has been getting in there, getting some love though. He's at 70-1 at FanDuel. But I think at this point it's Bob at around minus 200, Barkov at 5-1, McDavid if the Oilers win the cup, or one of these Kachuk at 30-1 or Verhaeghe 43-1 if they're able to emerge in these next few games. But I think it comes down to Bob versus Barkov really for the Panthers. And I was shocked today when I checked the odds after groggily waking up and seeing Barkov practiced, and he's still at 5-1. That made little to no sense to me.
No, to me neither. Definitely the bet now. You're right. Bobrovsky or Barkov is the debate. I mean, it would take something wild happening. I mean, I guess the Oilers winning the series isn't too extreme. So that makes sense. They're plus 550. Never bet that from myself. But if you do like the Oilers, naturally, that's where you'd be drawn to. I mean, what's the price of the series if you don't mind looking that up quickly? I mean, that's got to be close to the same price, I would imagine, maybe a little bit longer.
Minus 450 and plus 360.
360. Okay, yeah, plus 550. I'd definitely bet that before betting the Oilers series. But yeah, the real debate here is as was be going on in our group chats, Bobrovsky versus Barkov. Yeah, Barkov, if he misses games, obviously that hurts more often than not. Although we've been thought experimenting that maybe that helps in a way if certain things go as planned. Maybe a high scoring series with Barkov being out, maybe that damages the case for the Panthers being this defensive team without him. So naturally, he posthumously he actually gets some credit for that, but. We're not dealing with that because I do expect him to play now with the reports getting better. Sounds like he's going through concussion protocol. So as long as the league doesn't step in and say he can't play, which wouldn't make any sense after they didn't suspend Draisaitl. So if he was injured, they would have just suspended him. So I think that he'll play, like you said, and that's the obvious bet to me. I mean, I've got fucking flush with Barkov, 50-1 from earlier in the playoffs. I got to tie a bunch of bets, including Igor Swiatek and the Bobrovsky. I've been betting him lately just as a hedge, not because it's a valuable play, but absolutely Barkov 5-1 is the valuable bet here. It would take something pretty crazy for any of these other guys to win. Like Matthew Tkachuk, if he scores like 2-3 goals in a game, he gets back in the mix. But in this low scoring series, I don't think that's likely to happen, especially with the way he's been playing lately. I mean, he's been fine performance wise, but in terms of point production wise, he's been very quiet. I don't think he hasn't scored or even had a point in the early Rangers series. It's been a while anyway. And Barkov, he's getting all the narrative love. Plus, he'll get the attention of the media for playing through injury. He'll be credited as a tough guy. And of course, we've been saying it again and again. Selke winner, runaway favorite for that. Speaking of the Selke, though, and Wayne Gretzky said that Barkov is the best defensive forward he's seen since Brian Trottier back when he played against the Islanders and then when he lost that first series. But did the great one forget someone named Patrice Bergeron? I don't know. He only retired last year, and he's clearly still a level above Barkov. But anyway, he's getting the attention from the great one. The narrative is out there. Like there was a 5-minute interview with Elliot Friedman before the game with Alexander Barkov in before game two. So he's getting all the love. Bobrovsky, he's getting a lot of love too, to his credit, but he's minus 190. I would never bet that now. You missed out if you wanted Bob. And I think that's just a poisonous price. I got something else to say about it, but you can contribute if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I posted this in the Discord. I think it may have been before game two, even that a goalie since the 04 lockout, the worst save percentage by a goalie to win the Conn Smythe was 920 by Cam Ward back in 2006, which I think the Hurricanes were a very balanced defensive team in front of him, if I remember correctly, or just knowing how the Hurricanes pretty much always are. So there was no one to take the credit there. Besides that, quick one with a 946 in 2012, 2011. Tim Thomas 940, Vasilevsky 937 in 21.
Insane
Like,
numbers.
yeah, like you have to put up amazing numbers. And maybe if Bob gets one more shutout in the Stanley Cup final, but save percentage is at 916. It is rising here as the playoffs move along. The Lightning did light them up pretty good for, I think, 6 goals in one of the games there. But yeah, with Barkov back, like I don't see a reason Barkov wouldn't win it, or unless, like you said, Kachuk has a hat trick or Verhaeghe has a few clutch goals, because Barkov leads or tied for the team lead in points with 19 with Kachuk, and Barkov has one more goal than Kachuk, and Barkov gets all the praise for his two-way play, defensive play against McDavid, especially now. Like if McDavid scores a few goals or sets up a few goals at home when he's not playing against Barkov, that also just adds more for Barkov's case, because Knoblauch should be doing everything he can to get McDavid against not Barkov on that line. So yeah, I think it's Barkov here 5-1 is a great bet right now. Kachuk at a 25-1 or better is worth a sprinkle if you're looking for some value there, because Pete's hasn't done much, but he's someone that can put up some points in bunches. So he'd be my long shot, I guess, right now at 25-30-1. But Barkov 5-1 is an insane price to me, especially if he's playing tomorrow, which is all signs point to him doing so. He'll have even more attention on the broadcast, with people being like, "Oh, he got hit. How's he looking?" Doing like a bunch of ISO cams on him, which you'll see all those great defensive plays and setups for chances.
Absolutely. Like, once he's confirmed to play, that's, if you're waiting this long, that's when you got to bet this. I'll probably bet more Barkov if I see that happen before the lines move, and the lines will move almost certainly. But yeah, one more thing about Bobrovsky though is we can't get around the fact. I should have mentioned this before. I mean, I've said this about a bunch of guys in the past, but he's Russian. The voters don't like Russians, at least some of them, right? Obviously, Kucherov's getting a ton of support. He might even win the Hart. And he should. Obviously, he's been the most valuable player to the Lightning and across the whole league. But there are some voters that think this way. I mean, it wasn't long ago where Dominik Hasek wanted to kick all the Russians out of the fucking league. There is this anti-Russians sentiment out there. I know people who pretend to be Ukrainian, and they're actually Russian, just because of this like the anti-Russian bias out there. And it's stuff matters. Like, the voters are real people. You look at the voters for last year, like Marchessault, all the French guys voted for Marchessault because he's from Quebec. And Eichel, everyone who voted for Eichel was American. So, like, this stuff does matter. And that's just another obstacle for Bobrovsky to overcome. I'm not saying he can't win, but I guarantee at least a few of the voters will be inclined to bet someone else, even though Barkov is actually Russian too. He was born in Finland, but to Russian parents. But anyway, he's not thought of that way because he doesn't have the Russian flag next to his name. So yeah, that's just another thing that Bobrovsky has to overcome. Nobody else is talking about this, but that's a real thing.
Yeah, like, even if people don't want to admit it, like even the voters themselves, like there is some sort of bias in there where if they can give it to Barkov just as easily, or that's another reason for Kachuk. If Kachuk has a good game in game 3 or game 4 or 5, however long the series goes, like he has his dad, Keith Kachuk, Kachuk family, so American hero. Like, you could get that narrative. I've been trying to track down who's going to be voting on the Conn Smythe. So if you guys, anyone listeners out there, have any idea, like looking at last year and the year before, it looks like it's 18 people, mostly national people with a few locals thrown in. And yeah, like you said, Eichel was Ryan Clark of ESPN, Friedman, Emily Kaplan, Sarah Valley, and Stephen Wino. So, like, yeah, that was just all the North.
I don't know where
American
Stephen
guys.
Wino is from. I think he might be Canadian, but he worked for the Caps. That's what I just determined.
Yeah, he was with the AP, I believe. I know he's worked with the Canadian Press before, but yeah, he's North American, if anything, if not possibly American. So yeah, it looks like going to be 18 voters, mostly national guys or not guys and gals, and like Barkov has a few narratives. He has the fancy stats, people that love him. He has a lot of things going for him, where seeing this at 5-1 is crazy. Like, he was 3-1 before game 2, and I thought that was even good.
No doubt. I think we go back to the Capitals Stanley Cup win as the quintessential Conn Smythe bias, right? Because there's no doubt Evgeny Kuznetsov should have won the Conn Smythe that year. He was definitely the most valuable player to the Capitals in that playoffs, but Ovechkin is the identity of the team. That's why he won. Barkov is the identity of this team. That's why he's going to win. So he should be, honestly, the favorite. Like, if he plays, he should be the favorite, no doubt. If he misses time, obviously that changes things. But, yeah, this line is crazy to me.
Yeah. If you do like Bob, if you think, Panthers going to win in 4, could sweep, win in 5, just take the Panthers to sweep and take the Panthers to win in 5. Because, like, that's a better way to do it. You can get Panthers in 5 plus 240. Panthers in to sweep at plus 330, place half unit on each of those, and I think it'll be better payout than betting Bob here at almost minus 200. Like, these odds don't make sense. Maybe we'll see them update before the game tomorrow if Barkov has like a morning skate or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, but good for Bob though, because he's completely turned the narrative around him around. He was a playoff joker before. He didn't even start the playoffs.
Worst contract in the league, right?
Yeah. $10 million for a goalie. Why are you paying goalies so much? And now he's like, oh, there was a story I think on some national outlet about him, like his Hall of Fame case now after the Stanley Cup final shutout. So good for him. Good for Bob. Good old former Flyer. But Barkov definitely deserves the Conn Smythe over him, I think, at this point.
Yeah, no doubt Hall of Famer. I mean, 2-time Vezina winner. Shut out the Lightning when they're the best team metrically since ever in that Blue Jacket series. And now with 2 Stanley Cup appearances, like there's no question. I don't know who would want to shut him out. Maybe the same people who keep closing out McGillney.
Yeah, you never know there. All right, anything else you want to touch on here before we close this out?
Well, we got a couple major tournaments about to start. We got the Euros on Friday. We got the U.S. Open on Thursday. U.S. Open, of course. Mentioned it earlier. Scotty Scheffler, just bet him. This is my only outright winner. A few other things. Ludwig Aberg, I think, top debutant. Like, who else is going to beat him? Like, the closest guy is Nikolai Højgaard, one of the Højgaard brothers. And that's not going to happen. I think Aberg is just way better. He plus 150 all the way up to plus 175 I've seen, and I bet. So I love that bet. And there's just a bunch of no names after him. And he didn't do well in the PGA, but that's because he had a torn meniscus or something. And now he's healthy. Played well last week, top 5. So I think that Aberg is just going to crush. I like him for top European as well, especially with Rahm out. I got a few other bets. I'll toss them in the Discord. Euros. Same thing. I'll toss from the Discord, but France, Portugal are my main bets going deep. I bet a shitload of Euro stuff, as you know, as I've shared in a private channel. But yeah, it's. I bet a lot of stuff this year too, because obviously I'm going to Germany, so a lot of the books that I normally have, I won't have access to, either because their security, their geolocation services are able to get past my VPN, or the other books are either use VPN, or some of the books, they don't give a fuck where I am in the world. I can use them anywhere. So I'll have less access to game by game betting. So I just bet a lot more futures instead. So hugely invested in these Euros. So hopefully that goes well.
Are you going to Germany for the Euros? Did you schedule that out?
I was going to go to Germany either way, but just so happened that it was at this time. So that's when I'm going to go. And it's going to be great. I'm going to see a couple matches there. It's going to be.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah, I was about to ask. Tickets expensive or not for like the summer month?
Honestly, I thought there'd be a little bit more. $400 each Canadian.
Not bad.
For Euros. I thought that was pretty decent. Belgium versus Romania, not exactly a high class affair, one of them. But then I got a round of 16 match in Munich as well. So that'll be fun.
Should be a good time. When are you leaving for that? Are we going to be able to record Friday before you go?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you leaving Friday? Okay.
Yeah, Friday. I leave Monday to evening.
Oh, yeah.
Abend.
Whatever that means. Yeah, so we got game 3 Thursday night. We'll be back on Friday night before game 4 on Saturday night. And we'll figure it out for next week with Joel overseas with the time difference. But we'll get something out for you guys.
The series might be over by then.
Series could be over. But then we got NHL draft stuff coming up too. We got to talk about.
That's true. Oh yeah,
never stops.
I already got thoughts. Yeah.
I don't think there's any free agent markets out there yet, but that's another thing to look at. I'm sure there's a Mitch Marner's next team or whatever. Or
Sure.
there's talks of Vegas could be in on him. But yeah, plenty of stuff to go over, even if the Panthers do sweep.
Indeed.
All right. Once again, make sure you are subscribed to the Hockey Gambling Podcast on your preferred podcast platform. Subscribe, like, comment on YouTube. Follow on Twitter at HockeySGPN and get in the Discord, sg.pn/Discord. And I am Ryan Gilbert. You can follow me on Twitter at rgilbertsop.
And I'm Joel Myron. You'll find me looking at the Celtics price here, plus 120 for the much better team. I'll be betting them. That match starts in 20 minutes or so. So let's go Boston.
Yeah. See ya. Meow.